Okay, so to start working on, let's start with the dress. I want to start coloring it, bringing in the shadows and the highlights. So I'm going to start with the shadows, and I'm going to make sure that I'm on the dress layer. And I want to add another layer above the dress layer. And this one, I'm going to change what it is, and it's going to be called a clipping mask. So by putting a clipping mask over the dress layer, it allows me to only draw on this dress. So I can't draw beyond it. And I need to make sure I'm on that clipping layer, that one is the one that's selected. Okay, so I'm going to select this blue color. So now the blue is selected, and I want to go darker, right? So we're going to go more in a navy tone. And I want to get like the airbrush, the soft airbrush, or maybe let's do the medium airbrush. The soft airbrush has too much overspray, it's too fuzzy. And this one's a little fuzzy, but not as much as the soft one. And I want to look at the size of the airbrush. Let's do about 30, 40. And I can bring the opacity way down. So coloring is hard because you want to add a little bit at a time. So I'm going to add a little shadow at a time. Let's zoom in. See if this is working. Yeah, it's working. So you can start to see as I'm shading, I can just, see if I push too hard, there it gets pretty dark. But I think that's okay because in the reference, it's almost black in the shadows. So I'm just following the body shape to try and add a little bit. And if I brush this pencil back and forth lightly, it'll do it lightly. If I do it hard, it'll do it strong. And I always have my light coming from the right side, which is, it's different from what's coming on this photo. It's coming from the left side, but she's staying the opposite direction. And this side should be pretty dark compared to that. Oops, I guess I went off. Go back to my clipping layer. Okay, and I might even add in darker, almost black, and I can make the pencil or the brush really small. Just go in and add that dark shadow where I want it. And this is what's giving 3D to this drawing, is how we shade it. Okay, so I have some wrinkle lines, and that's meant to kind of represent these highlight lines. And I think what I'm going to do is burn in the highlight. So by burning, I just mean I'm going to take the highlight color. So let's make it kind of a light blue right now. Yep. And let's just go in, and I want to make my brush smaller so I can get into certain areas and try to look at how the light hits that dress, right? It's kind of irregular, and it's hitting the surface and shining off of it in a certain way. And I can always erase these if I don't really like what it's doing. And by erase, I mean I could just go back over with the blue color. And maybe I want to make this a little bigger. The bigger it is, the softer the shading. Okay, so now with all of these highlights, what I want to do is give it a shadow under it so that you can kind of see that it's folding. So I'm going to select this color. Let's go into the shadows of blue. And I don't remember how big my brush is, so I'm going to make it a little smaller so I can control where I'm putting it. And I kind of feel like this color is a little dark for what I want. I probably want it more in the royal blue. Okay, so skin can be hard, and I'm going to start with the body first, and then I'll get into the details of the face. You can see in this picture, since there's an orange background, there's a lot of orange reflection, but maybe that's a good thing, especially since the dress is blue. Orange is kind of the primary or the complementary color, so I don't know that I'll choose orange, but I will choose something that's more warm, I would think. So let's do kind of a warm gray tan color. And I'm gonna go into, let's try the soft airbrush. I don't know if this is really the one I want, but I'm gonna start there. And I'm on the clipping layer, and let's make it more opaque. And I'll start just by shading. Okay, that's too big. And I'm gonna try to get a little bit of the face while I have these colors going on. Make it smaller since the face is smaller. And I think I'm gonna try and get my reference photo that I started with. So let's close that one and let's turn this one on. Yeah, that helps. So I can see where some of the shadows are coming from. And I wasn't too off. Okay, so now I'm going to turn that one off and see how it looks. I kind of liked what I did before, but it's okay. I'm going to make it even softer. I just need that transition. And I'm gonna go, I have a lot of this kind of warm color, and let's go a little more gray. And I really want a different airbrush. So what I'm finding I don't like these streaky lines, and I don't know how to get rid of that. I would think the soft airbrush would give me exactly what I want. So I'm gonna go to my skin tone here, and I'm gonna get a bigger brush, and I'm just gonna go over it, and that should lighten it up a little. So I've just been detailing the face a little bit and getting some kind of shading and makeup on to the face. Just slowly layering some shadows, trying to give it some dimension and detail. So you can really zoom in pretty far, which is nice. And I can just define some of this a little more. I need to be on the clipping layer, which I wasn't, so let's fix that. I want to do the lips red, and so what I can do is go into the selection tool and maybe just, ooh, that's wrong. Okay, I'm going to go into the selection tool, make sure it's on freehand. And I'm gonna just go in and select the lips. And then let's go with color and pick a red. So that'll help me to zone in just on the lips, and I can go more opaque. I'm kind of using some of that skin tone to help add highlight to it. Oops, it's pretty good. And I can add in a little darker burgundy, maybe make it a little smaller. and then we can zoom out and see what that looks like. And I'll deselect the lips. So that's pretty good. I think the only thing I need to do now is I have to give highlight to the skin. I didn't really do any highlight, I just did some shadows. So I can go in and do that next.